College Gym Vids fan going live on YouTube, streaming live on YouTube. Well, the Georgia Michigan gymnastics meet in the third rotation. My other phone battery was at 0%. So after maybe 10, 20 minutes, the stream automatically ended on YouTube because there was no action. But I'm charging that other phone now. But now I'm continuing to meet with the live stream. Because I have another phone that while the meet was playing on my other phone, I was charging the phone, and like this battery percentage is at 99%, so it should last a couple hours. So it was just basically my goal to upload 3 gymnastics meets, and I uploaded 1.5 meets on the first video. So this is the second meet of today, and it's continued. So then I'm going to upload one more meet after this. But I'm going to walk over to the charger and put my phone in the charger so it can charge. It's only at 9%.
And she's going to dismount with a really difficult dismount, a round off double tuck. A dismount like that requires a lot of power, which Gabby has no problem with. There it is, double tuck. Step back on the landing.
It's raining outside.
Good fight in that routine. Kayla Dion up now on 4 for Georgia, following the 9-7 for Michaela McGee. And again, the teams can drop a score on each event, so the 9-5-7-5 from Melissa Perez-Lagones is ideally going to be the ones they're going to want to drop. Haley opens with a triple twist. Hop on the landing, but really impressive to see that clean form in the air. That's a skill that she did before coming to college, but that's new here at Georgia. She hasn't competed that in college in competition. Did do it at Georgia's first look in her squad a couple weeks ago. One and a half to punch drop for the second pass. Just having lots of fun with this routine. And that's not easy to have the endurance to do difficult tumbling, but also have some energy left in you for the dance. Final tumbling pass, double tuck. Really short on that, you can tell from the takeoff. Just didn't get the punch he needed off the floor to get that up in the air and rotating all the way around. Sierra Brooks now on beam, following the 9-7 from Gabby Wilson. And Sierra is steady as a rock on this event, whether it's in the gym or on the competition floor. But she does the same gymnastics time and time again, and knows how to hit under pressure too. In the NCAA finals where Michigan won the title, they had some mistakes, and it really came down to the final 3 routines, and Sarah Brooks was the one that got the momentum going on beam again after the mistakes. So it's good to have an athlete on your team that can hit under pressure. We talked to her about a month ago, and she said when she went up to do that beam routine at NCAA finals, she was like, I'm not coming off. It's just not an option. Love that she had that confidence in herself. Front toss, very solid. She's also going to dismount with the double tuck. Same dismount as Gabby Wilson. And a pretty big hop back on the landing. It's going to be a 10 for sure on that, but a solid routine. Typical solid Sierra Brooks. Megan Roberts up now, following the 9.375 from Haley Dion. So she's going to do a 2-pass 14. Normally does a punch pull and is a first pass. Today he's going to be doing a front through to double back. Coach Courtney said that they're hoping to work back to pike pull end. Very consistent though with that front through to double back. That's really what they're looking for this season, is what tumbling is going to be the most consistent and get you the biggest score. Oftentimes in college gymnastics, we see 3-pass 14s. She's able to fulfill all the requirements in just the 2 passes. She has 3 different saltos, a combination tumbling pass. Finishes with a double pike. Pretty good landing. The leg came up off the floor, showing a little bit of a lack of control. But that's exactly what Georgia needed to pick the momentum back up again on this event. Up next on Bean for Michigan is going to be Raina Gugino, following the 9.825 from Sierra Brooks. And this is her debut on this event. Was primarily on vault last season, did floor a little bit. But really looks clean on this event in preseason. Her series, backhand chair layout step out, beautifully done. Cat leap to side semi. Kind of a lean on that landing. Just the dismount left. 1.5 twists. Really good routine just to step on that landing, but like I said, very first time in the lineup. Very impressive. Okay, up next on 4 for Georgia, we have Rachel Lucas. I know Georgia's loving having her back in the lineup. She struggled with injuries throughout her career. Only saw her doing vault in Georgia's first look inter squad a couple weeks ago. Double pike to open. Strong landing. One and a half to punch front for the second pass. Rachel has a career high of 9.95 on this event, so very much capable of big things. Just the final tumbling pass, double tuck, Again, a little bit short on that. That's kind of a theme so far on floor for Georgia, just lacking a little bit of endurance, especially in that final template pass. But that will come with time. As the season goes on, those are the things we're going to be working on in the gym. Up on beam now is Natalie Wojcik. Career high on this event, it's a perfect 10. Front aerial to beat jump. Absolutely beautiful. One thing that I just love about Natalie on this event is her toe point. Maintains it throughout the entire routine. Even on all her skills, she knows how to keep those toes pointed, and that's a really important thing on beam. Triple series. Very nicely done. So confident on this event. Just this mount left. One minute twist. A stuck landing. That's going to be a big score. I'd hate to call it 10 so early in the season, but you never know. That was a really good routine. Up now we have Serrate Hawthorne. Career high in this event, 995. She did that in freshman year. And another performer on this event that is a lot of fun. Really upbeat, fun, engaging choreography. A little out of control on that double pike. But really clean in the air. Excellent routine, Serrate Hawthorne, and a perfect way to end the rotation from Georgia. Alright, we are going to head to a break and we'll update on scores when we come back. Okay. Actually, we're going to stay right here for an exhibition performance on beam from Nicoletta Koulos. So Nicoletta is actually coming back from a wrist injury. And it looks like she's changing her routine up a little bit from what I was expecting her to do. In the preseason was training a no hands beam routine to help alleviate pressure on that wrist. And she's crooked on the series. Good save. 1.5 twist for the dismount, hop forward on the landing, but that's what the exhibition routine is for, just to go out there and get a routine out in the competition setting with the crowd, the cameras, and kind of getting the feel for the competition environment. And that's a routine that maybe down the line we'll see in the lineup.
Michigan won the meet, 197.75. And Georgia only had 194.5. See, it was 838.32. So it's over. I just went to events and then clicked on catch up. I guess it's kind of like a backup DVR. I already put Army, West Point, Penn State up. Okay, now I'm going to go to video library. This is like classic meets. Okay, go to search and type in gym. See, they will have meets from last year on here. Like women's, Minnesota, Michigan, Ohio State, Iowa, Illinois, Rutgers, Ohio State, Illinois, Nebraska, Penn State. I think I uploaded all these last year. Because these are March, meets. Big championship. Oh, this is the women's big championship. Nebraska at Iowa. Illinois, Minnesota. Minnesota, Ohio State. Now this, session 1, men's gymnastics, from April 16th. I didn't have this on here from last year. Illinois, William and Mary. Now this is men's gymnastics. The first 2 meets were women's gymnastics.
Back over to the high rings, or the still rings for Illinois with Jordan Kovac, the senior from Oklahoma, who's been an all-arounder at some points this year for the Illini. Waiting on that first score for Joel Diaz, who led it off for the Illini on the rings. It'll be Jordan Kovac next. The Illini are the 8th team into this event. Again, 2 sessions. This is the first of 2. We'll have the The second session coming up later tonight. 6 teams get in, 3 per session. So the Illini competing with Oklahoma, Nebraska, Ohio State, Navy, and William & Mary. And the top 3 teams as a team qualify for tomorrow's finals at 7 o'clock on Big Ten Network. So the score just coming in for Joel Diaz, 13.400 for Joel Diaz to get it started on the rings. And that's just off his high mark that he set at Iowa in Big Ten competition. 13.350 at Iowa was the high mark. So a couple of tenths off that for Joel Diaz to begin the day for Illinois. And now Jordan Kovac is ready on the rings for Illinois. This is one of 2 events that Kovac will do today. He'll also compete on the parallel bar, has done some all-around for Illinois this year. Stumble on the dismount for Kovac. Jordan Kovac, number 2 on the rings for the Illini. Again, his top score of the year on the rings, 13.750 at Ohio State, usually in the low 13s. And we'll see what he grabs for the Illini in their second routine on the rings after Joel Diaz started it off with a 13.400. Back in the high bar with William & Mary, here's Sam Lee, the Rookie of the Year in the conference for William & Mary. So Sam Lee, the freshman out of Superior, Colorado, second event of the day, or second routine of the day on the high bar after Aiden Coy went 12.433. Now Sam Lee closes out the second one on the high bar for William & Mary. The guy that won Rookie of the Year on the high bar had a great performance to begin his career against Stanford, went 13.05 against Stanford in early February. And has had some volatile results on that event, some 10s, some 11s, some 12s. And William & Mary hoping that he can reach that 13 mark against Stanford as we caught the second half of Sam Lee's routine there on the high bar. Logan Myers will be up next for Illinois. Third to go so far, still waiting on the score for Jordan Kovac, who was second on the rings for Illinois. The Illini finished 4th in the Big Ten. And again, they're on the back end of the top 6 coming into this event with the qualifying score. So trying to surpass either Ohio State, Nebraska, or Oklahoma in this first session today to sneak into Saturday. Top 3 teams from each session will be there. 6 more teams competing tonight. There's Logan Myers on the rings. Little step back in the dismount for Logan Myers. Third up on the rings for Illinois. Back over to the high bar with William and Mary. It's Alex Kuzminchuk. This is a freshman, Kuzminchuk, competing in his first NCAA event. And he's the third off the high bar today for William and Mary. Top score of 12.95 against Air Force. And Kuzminchuk coming off his best two routines of the year on the high bar. His last two have been some of his better scores of the year. So halfway through rotation one for Illinois and William and Mary. Sam Lee's score came in for William and Mary at 12.773. Still waiting on the Logan Myers score on the rings for Illinois. Joel Diaz led it off for the Illini with 13.400. Jordan Kovach went 13.333. And there you see the score for Logan Myers. 13.230 for Logan Myers and the Illini. So all their scores right in alignment just above that 13 mark. And now into all-arounder Michael Fletcher's routine. Will be the only all-arounder today for Illinois. Fletcher, the junior out of New Hampshire. Best score of the season on this event came right here in this venue at Minnesota in the middle of March. Scored a 14 in the dual meet against Minnesota. The fourth on the rings today for the Illini. And a stuck landing for Michael Fletcher. Close out the fourth rings routine, and he's pleased by that, so are the Illini in the corral. Get an update on Michael Fletcher's score on the rings coming up after three consecutive scores in the 13s for the Illini. Alex Kuzminchuk just scored a 12.366 for William and Mary. Now Ian Creelman, the fourth on the high bar for the Tribe. Ian Creelman letting out a stream after that routine on the high bar. It was wobbly there in the middle for a second, but saved it. And the senior competing in his first NCAAs with a strong start to his day. And expect to see him on 4 events today, the floor, the vault, and the parallel bars on top of the high bar. And after being an alternate the past couple events for William and Mary at the NCAAs, the senior finally gets his shot to be a big part of the lineup. And Creelman fired up after the fourth. He was the fourth to go on the high bar. So the three scores for William and Mary on the high bar so far: Aiden Coy with a 12.433. Sam Lee went 12.733. And Alex Kuzminchuk went 12.366. Now the Illini get their best score in the ring so far. The score that flashes up is for Michael Fletcher, 13.600. Now the anchor for the Illini in the rings, it's Daniel Graham. been steady on this event so far this year. High 13s, low 14s in every single routine. Danny Graham, the anchor for Illinois. Former Hinsdale Central High School Red Devil. The anchor for the Illini, trying to follow up Michael Fletcher's 13.6 on the rings. And we'll get his score here in a few seconds. And that'll wrap it up for the Illini in rotation 1. Score just came in for Ian Creelman. The fourth to go for William and Mary on the high bar, 12.556. And now it's the anchor on the high bar with Andrew Lebowski. Andrew Lebowski on the high bar, the anchor for William and Mary. Best score of the year was against Navy, 13.2. And a clean routine after coming off his 2 lowest scores of the year in that event for the all-arounder Andrew Lebowski. That wraps up rotation 1 for both Illinois and William and Mary. And you can see they're fired up in the corral for Illinois. Danny Graham just scored them their highest score on the rings with the 13.7 to follow up Michael Fletcher's 13.6. So the Illini stronger as they went on through rotation 1. Steady with the 13.4 with Joel Diaz, then Jordan Kovac with a 13.33. Logan Myers went 13.233. Michael Fletcher with the best routine of the day to that point, then Danny Graham followed up his 13.6 with a 13.7. So we'll get you some rolling scores right after this. We're on to rotation 2, following Illinois and William and Mary here on this string at this stream on the NCAA Championships. Rotation 2 coming up right after this. Sort of rotation 2 at Maturi Pavilion here in Minneapolis. It's session 1 of the NCAA Championships. Our first 6 teams competing. And our first unattached athlete on floor is Colin Lilly from Air Force. An All-American in 2020 in this event. Of course, did not compete in the championships, not held, canceled last spring due to COVID. That was the final tumbling pass for Colin Lilly. Again, competing unattached from Air Force, a junior out of St. Cloud, Florida. he gets it started on the floor in rotation 2 before William and Mary will have their 5-man lineup. Now the Illini on the vault. This was their strongest event at the Big Ten Championships. It's Connor McCool leading it off. Connor McCool with a good start for the Illini on the vault. And fired up coming off another good vault after he finished second at the Big Tens on the floor. And also a strong vaulter that has consistently scored in the 14s. The Illini in that event this year. Now Zane Petrus to get it started for William and Mary on the floor. Petrus, the senior out of Amsterdam, made big improvements this year in his conditioning and his strength, and that's paid off in his floor exercise routine. Coming off his second best floor score at the conference meet with a 13.15. Zane Petrus showing off some of that improved strength that assistant coach Bo Morris alluded to before this event. Petrus has said that strength isn't everything, but it's made everything easier, including floor. And he wraps up the leadoff spot for William and Mary on the floor as we go back to the Illini on the vault. This is Logan Myers. Logan Myers, number 2 on the vault for Illinois. Has been an all-arounder this year. Was an all-arounder for the second time of the year at the Big Ten Championships. No floor, no pommel horse today, so 4 events. And Myers at that vault now halfway through after he put up a 13.233 on the rings in rotation 1. Second up for William and Mary on the floor will be Ian Creelman. This conference meet was highly successful for William and Mary at the ECACs, had a season best in 3 of his 4 events, including on the floor of the 13.55. Ian Creelman, the senior out of High Bridge, New Jersey, on the floor. Typically the guy that leads off in a couple of different rotations for William and Mary. Second on the floor for William and Mary after Zane Petrus led it off for William and Mary. Now the third vault for Illinois comes from Max Diab. Max Diab with the third ball of the day for the Illini. His best score came right here in Minnesota a couple of weeks ago, the 14-3-5-0. Has had his best two scores in the last two meets. Again, the Illini were dominant on the vault at the Big Ten Championships a couple of weeks ago, scoring a 71.2 as a team, tied for first in the Big Ten with Michigan and Iowa. Back to Florida with William Mary. Here's Kevin Portafi Jr. out of Norwich, Connecticut. The judges this year have really liked his posture and his presentation. His second best score of the season at the conference meet with 13.15. Also put up a 13-4 against Cal in late February. Petrus, Ian Creelman both started with 13s for William and Mary. Now Kevin Portafi into the back half of his floor routine. Really worked on his landings on these tumbling passes. And he lands that one well. Kevin Portafi closes out the third routine for William and Mary on the floor. They've worked on those landings. He gets 7 to 8 chances per routine. And throughout his routine, he's been thinking chest up, feet still. And he closed out strong there for William and Mary. Ian Creelman went 13-1 on floor, and then Zane Petrus went 13-4-3-3. This is now the fourth vault in Hamish Carter, the junior out of West Midlands in the UK. Carter a little frustrated with the landing there on the vault. Previous vault scores, the Illini threw 3. All 14 pluses. Max Diab went 14-2-2-6. So did Connor McCool, 14-2-2-6. And Logan Myers was a 14-0-6-6. Hunter Fugit, senior on the floor out of Boulder, Colorado now for William and Mary. The guy that the coaching staff for William and Mary lauded for his intensity and wanting it really bad. Let's see how he handles the adrenaline of this moment in the championship event. Few get on the floor, 13-9-5 at the conference meet. Last 5 trending up heading into this championship. His last 5 floor routines in competition He's seen a slight improvement in each of them. Been steady in the 13s, but up to the high 13s heading into the championships here this weekend. Cutter Fugit ready on the floor. This is Andrew Lebowski in the spot that Cutter Fugit was originally assigned. Fourth on the floor here for William & Mary. The all-arounder out of Fairfax, Virginia. Lebowski closes out his floor routine, went 13-6 at the conference meet. That was his first floor in about a month. He was out of the rotation for one meet. And William & Mary went a couple of weeks without a competition, so Lebowski back in there on the floor, and we'll get you an update on his score. Back to the vault with the Illini. And there's internet sensation Evan Manavong, who went 5th on the Big Ten on the vault, celebrated by flashing his vaccine card. Ended up making it on the Late Show with Stephen Colbert. USA Today picked up the story, so did CBS with the morning show. So he liked his routine there. Evan Manavong at the Big Tens went 5th, and he's won 3 vault titles and 1 floor title this year for the Illini. Now it's Colin Lilly on the floor for William & Mary. Getting toward the end of rotation 2 here. William & Mary started on the high bar, now on the floor. They'll head to pommel horse right after this. Colin Lilly, senior out of Denton, Texas. We had a season best in this event at the conference. Scored a 13.450 at the ECACs. So Colin Lilly wraps it up on floor, the 5th to go for William & Mary. And Colin Lilly has been better in that event with all 5 of the last meets. And now back to the vault with Illinois. Michael Fletcher, the all-arounder, to close it out as the anchor for Illinois in the vault. And Michael Fletcher was the individual Big Ten champion on the vault with a 14-6. And he likes what he just put out there on the first vault, on the final vault for the Illini. Fletcher went 14-6 and was actually expected that it was going to be Evan Manavong that could potentially contend for the title in that event, but Fletcher put out his best at the Big Tens. And it It was his best of the year by 0.3. We'll see what his score is to close out the vault for the Illini. To this point, Illinois with a 138.329. We get Fletcher's score and give you the full rolling score through 2 rotations. This is Aiden Coy on the floor for William and Mary. Assistant Bo Morris said this is a guy you can always count on to hit. Coy trying to finish strong. And the crowd liked it for William and Mary, so does Coy. As he closes out his floor routine. 13 even at Air Force, his best score. 3 straight with the 12.8 or higher after one of his lowest scores of the year prior to that. So Aiden Coy closes it out for William and Mary. That concludes rotation 2 here at the NCAA Championships. It's session 1 of day 1. Top 3 of 16s here in session 1 are on to tomorrow's 16 championship event at 7 o'clock on Big Ten Network. We'll get you the rolling scores and the individual scores for rotation 2 right after this. So after 2 rotations in Minneapolis, it's the University of Illinois in front of this 16 competition. Remember, the top 6 or the top 3 of the 6 will move on to Saturday's finals. William and Mary is warming up on the pommel horse, and the Illini will head over to the parallel bars. Updated team standings after 2 rotations. Again, top 3 teams will move on to Saturday. It's Illinois in front right now with a team score of 138.329, aided in big part by another strong team showing on the vault. Scored a 70.997 as a team, including Michael Fletcher's 14.800 as the anchor. And that was better than his championship score at the Big Ten by 0.2 of a point. So Fletcher led the Illini with Evan Manabong with a 14.733. Those are the 2 top scores for Illinois. And they now lead this event by 4 points through 2 rotations. Ohio State in 2nd, Oklahoma in 3rd, Nebraska in 4th. William and Mary is 10 points back of Illinois right now, and 4 points back of the cut line to get into Saturday, with Navy rounding it out at 127. William and Mary over the pommel horse at the conference event. This was their weakest event, but they did finish second to conference at a score of 61.95 as a team. Ended up finishing 3 points back of Navy. And this was the event that had the widest spread in scores at the conference event. They were a distant second to Navy, but Springfield and Army were a distant 3rd and 4th to the 61.95 on pommel horse. So here's Cutter Fugit. Was initially scheduled to go 3rd on the floor. And Fugit here on the pommel horse. Fugit leads it off for William & Mary on the pommel horse's best score of the year. Came against Stanford in a virtual meet, went 12-6. He's been the high 11s, low 12s since the early part of the season. Parallel bars for the Illini in rotation 3 to get it started. Tommy Mistretta. Back on the parallel bars, did not compete in this event at the Big Ten Championships. He competed twice in the regular season in this event. Ooh, a little stumble there on the dismount for Tommy Mistretta, and frustrated at the end of that routine after it was clean in the middle for Tommy Mistretta, leading it off on the parallel bars for the Illini, who went into rotation 2 leading. They're trying to get back to where they were. They finished second in their first session on Friday in 2019 when they hosted. Trying to get back into Saturday for competition tomorrow night. Waiting on the score for Cutter Fugit. Led off on the pommel horse for William & Mary in rotation 3. Hayden Coy and Andrew Lebowski are both competing in the all-around today for William & Mary. And Christian Gulata is waiting his chance on the pommel horse. He's a pommel horse specialist. And he's got to wait for the Fugit score before he can mount the pommel horse. 12-7 against Stanford, the best score for Christian Gulata earlier this year. And the last 2, he's climbed back toward that early season form. Best 2 scores since Stanford. He had a 12-3-5 in each of the last 2 meets. Now Christian Gulata is ready. Gave Cutter Fugit a 6.776. So 2, 3, 4, and 5 will try to make up for it with Christian Gulata in the second spot. This is a routine that doesn't have the highest degree of difficulty, but see the good swing for Gulata. It was Jordan Kovac closing out his parallel bars routine. Got it scored in the mid-13s at a 13-3-5-0 against Michigan and Nebraska in a tri-meet. Back over to Gulata, who's closing out after he remounted. So that's the end of the second routine with Christian Gulata for William & Mary on pommel horse. And now Logan Myers for the Illini. Get you a look at his entire routine over on parallel bars. Illinois finished 4th in the Big Ten, so you've got all 7 Big Ten teams in this event. finished fourth in the Big Ten. They're just below the cut line in this first session with their qualifying score. So they would have to jump one of Oklahoma, Nebraska, and Ohio State from their qualifying scores to get into tomorrow's finals. Again, a place that Illinois was when the event was hosted in Champaign. In 2019, they finished 5th overall and finished 2nd in their qualifying session. Led by Justin Spring, their head coach. Won an NCAA championship in 2012. And we'll wait on the second score for the Illini before Logan Myers can go. Hayden Coy's gearing up for his routine on the pommel horse. The guy that the coaching staff for William & Mary have described as a quiet, strong leader. They called him Mr. Automatic. And after a couple of shaky routines for William & Mary, this is a big one coming up for Coy. Back over to Logan Myers as he begins on the parallel bars. Myers heating up on this event late in the season. It was hot to begin, to the lull in the middle of the season. Now peaking late. And the Illini proud of Logan Myers on that dismount on his routine on the parallel bars. And Myers likes it too. High fives all around in the corral for the Illini. Jordan Kovach went 13-3. Tommy Mistretta, who led it off, went 11-4-6-6. And we'll get the score on the P-bars for the Illini for Logan Myers here shortly. Spencer Schrantz on the pommel horse, a pommel horse specialist. He's got a big start value, and they're looking for him to be a little bit more consistent on this event, but he had a really good practice yesterday from William & Mary, so they're hoping that this will be a feast day for the horse specialist, Spencer Schrantz, the senior out of Ann Arbor, Michigan. Fall from William & Mary. 3 falls and 3 pommel horses for the tribe. Spencer Schrantz will remount. Over to Michael Fletcher, the all-arounder for Illinois on the parallel bars. Fletcher with another good routine on the parallel bars. With a 13.650 at Winter Cup. He's had a wide range as far as his scores on the parallel bars this year, but that was a strong finish on the back end of that routine that we got to see. He's been in the 9 to 13 range. But that reaction would seem that we'd be headed toward that 12 to 13 range for Michael Fletcher, the only all-arounder today for Illinois. We've led heading into this rotation, leading the 6 teams here in session 1. Night session 2 coming up tonight with Michigan, Stanford, Penn State, Iowa, the host Minnesota, and California. We'll be following 2 teams with each of our streams tonight. And then Big Ten Network will carry tomorrow night's event at 7 o'clock Central. Top 3 teams get in. Oklahoma, Nebraska, Ohio State, and Navy competing with Illinois and William & Mary. The Christian March on the pommel horse, leading on Spencer Schrant's score. The 4th one up for William & Mary. Here on the pommel horse. So Christian Marsh, all conference and all 3 events he competes. And this event on the pommel horse, also on rings and parallel bars. Here he is on the pommel horse, a junior from Clarksburg, Maryland. Another fall for William & Mary. Had a hard time on this event. Leonard Fugit with a 6. He went 6-7. Christian Gulata recovered with a 9-9. And Aiden Coy with the best score so far with the 11-3 for William & Mary. And Illinois closing out on parallel bars with Hamish Carter. Get you his score. March is back up on the pommel horse for William & Mary. Christian March, top score on the horse, came against Stanford. And his last 2, he's been in the 13s. It did have to fall there for William & Mary. And they have one more upcoming on the pommel horse here in rotation 3. William & Mary was in 5th at the start of this rotation. And they'll try to finish strong with Andrew Lebowski. They're all-arounder on the pommel horse. This is the event that Lebowski probably spends the least amount of time training on. Being an all-rounder, training 6 events. This is the one where he's seen the most volatility since he had his season high in February of 12-1-5 in the pommel horse. He's gone 7, 10, and 11 in 3 consecutive meets. And William & Mary could use a strong routine from him to close out this rotation. Just came in for Illinois on the parallel bars. Hamish Carter closed it out with a 13-4. Michael Fletcher before that went 13-8. That was the best in the parallel bars for the Illini. Logan Myers went 13-2, 13-3 for Jordan Kovac. And Tommy Mistretta with the lowest score on the P-bars with 11-4. Christian Marsh just showed a score of 10-9, went 10-9-3. After Spencer Schrant had the best score in the pommel horse so far for William and Mary. So it's been backloaded with the scores for the Tribe. 2 11s with Aiden Coy and Spencer Schrant, then Marsh with a 10-9. And now Lebowski. Lebowski likes that. William and Mary finishes this rotation strong in the pommel horse. Gets you Lebowski's score. Again, Cutter Fugit began it with a 6-7. Christian Dulata 9-9. Aiden Coy 11-3. Spencer Schrant 11-8. Christian Marsh 10-9. And TBA on Andrew Lebowski. For the Illini in rotation 3, they came in leading as a team by 4 points. Top 3 teams get into Saturday's event. And Tommy Mistretta with an 11-4. Jordan Kovac with a 13-3. Logan Myers with a 13-2. Michael Fletcher with the best score on the parallel bars with 13-8. And Hamish Carter went 13-4. We get to the rolling scores and move on to rotation 4 after this in Minneapolis. This is Jesse Tyndall closing out the third rotation on high bar for Ohio State. Again, we're following Illinois and William and Mary on this stream. Give you the updated scores for William and Mary through 3 rotations. Those are final. Waiting on Tyndall to close out here. We'll have his score in a minute. And Oklahoma just wrapped up on rings, so we don't have team scores quite yet, but we can't give you the individual scores for Illinois and William and Mary halfway through. First for the try for William and Mary. Give you the high bar scores first. That's where they began. We had a stats freeze. So we'll take a break. We'll come back and we'll give you the rolling scores for both Illinois and William and Mary and where both stand in the next 3 minutes during the touch period. So halfway through session 1 with three rotations in Minneapolis. This is session 1 of 2 on this Friday before Saturday's 6-team championship event. And the updated standings through 3 rotations have Illinois at the top. They led by 4 heading into rotation 2. That lead was trimmed down to 1 point, leading Nebraska. Illinois 203, Nebraska 202.6. And then it's Oklahoma 2 points behind Illinois at 201.2. And Ohio State just below the cut line at 198.4. Navy at 197.8. And William and Mary right now trailing after a tough showing on Pommel Horse at 179.4. So over to rings for William and Mary. In rotation 4, it'll be a high bar for the Illini.
Okay, since the meet is halfway through, I'm probably gonna end this live stream and then do a different stream on a different phone